Welcome, dear viewers, to a place where the veil between reality and nightmare wears thin. Tonight we delve into the unsettling world of hospitals, where life and death waltz in a macabre embrace. Prepare yourselves for two true horror stories from those who work within these sterile, echoing halls. Stories whispered in hushed tones, stories that linger long after the lights have dimmed, and stories that prove the most terrifying monsters don't always lurk in the shadows. Sometimes they wear scrubs. So dim the lights, turn up the volume, and prepare to be unsettled. For tonight, we confront the chilling truth that sometimes hospitals harbor more than just patients. They house the unexplained. It began on a night like any other. The fluorescent lights hummed their sterile symphony, casting long, cold shadows across the linoleum floors. Nurse Sarah, a seasoned veteran of the night shift, thought she'd seen it all in her years on the job. She was wrong.
Room 304 had always held an unsettling stillness, a coldness that seemed to seep from its very walls. But tonight, the air crackled with an unseen energy. It started subtly, a flickering light above the empty bed, the faint scent of lavender perfume where no lavender bloomed.
Sarah, ever the pragmatist, initially dismissed these occurrences as tricks of a tired mind. But as the night wore on, the disturbances grew bolder, more insistent. Charts rearranged themselves on their metal racks. The rhythmic beeping of medical equipment took on an erratic, frantic pace. Then, there were the whispers, soft, mournful whispers that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves, weaving tales of suffering and despair. The hair on Sarah's arms prickled with gooseflesh. Her heart pounded against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the stillness of the room.
One night, as I made my rounds, my gaze fell upon the vacant bed in room 304. There, for the briefest of moments, I saw her. A young woman, her form as pale and insubstantial as moonlight, her eyes filled with an unearthly sorrow. The apparition vanished as quickly as it had appeared, leaving me breathless and shaken. The whispers, however, lingered, swirling around me like a chilling wind.
Word of the haunting spread through the hospital like a virus. Some dismissed it as an old wives' tale, a figment of overactive imaginations. But those who worked the night shift, those who felt the icy breath of the unknown on their skin, they knew the truth. Room 304 held a secret, a darkness that refused to be ignored. Patients assigned to the room reported feeling a cold hand on their brow, a sense of being watched by unseen eyes. Some claimed to have seen the spectral figure of the young woman, her mournful gaze piercing the veil of reality. The hospital staff, desperate to quell the growing unease, brought in priests to bless the room, psychics to cleanse it of its spectral inhabitant. But the disturbances continued, as if the entity, whatever it may be, was tethered to that room, unable or unwilling to leave.
I, once a skeptic, found myself drawn back to room 304 time and time again, compelled by a mixture of fear and morbid curiosity. I felt a strange connection to the ghostly presence, a sense of shared sadness and longing.
One particularly eerie night, as Sarah stood outside room 304, the whispers reached a fever pitch. The air grew heavy, suffocating, as if an unseen weight had settled upon her chest. And then she heard it, a name uttered with a heart-wrenching sob. The name sent a chill down Sarah's spine, for it was a name she knew. It was the name of a young woman, a patient who had died in that very room just months before, her life tragically cut short by an aggressive illness. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Sarah delved into the hospital archives, determined to uncover the truth behind the haunting. She discovered that the young woman, whose name was Emily, had been a gifted artist, her life filled with promise and passion. Emily had poured her heart and soul into her art, even as her body slowly betrayed her. But her final masterpiece, a haunting self-portrait that captured the depth of her pain and the fragility of life, had vanished from her room the night she died.
Piecing together the fragments of the past, I realized that Emily's spirit was not malevolent but trapped, tethered to the hospital by her unfinished work. I returned to room 304, a sense of determination washing over me.
Dr. Alex Miller, a man of science and logic, found his beliefs shaken to the core one fateful night in the desolate wing of Mercy Hospital. The old wing, with its peeling paint and hushed whispers of forgotten tragedies, was a place most avoided. It was during a particularly brutal winter storm that the strange occurrences began. The wind howled like a banshee outside, rattling the windows of the deserted nurses' station.
I was finishing my rounds, my footsteps echoing in the eerie silence of the hallway, when I noticed a light emanating from room 107. Room 107, sealed shut for years, its door marked with a faded quarantine sign, stood at the end of the hallway. Curiosity piqued, I approached the room, my hand hovering over the tarnished doorknob. A shiver ran down my spine as I pushed open the door, the hinges groaning in protest.
The room was dimly lit, the air thick with the smell of dust and decay. And there, lying in the bed, was a patient. The patient, an elderly man with wispy white hair and skin as pale as moonlight, looked frail and gaunt. Dr. Miller checked his charts, but found no record of any patient being admitted to room 107. He questioned the nurses, but they all claimed to have no knowledge of the mysterious patient.
Intrigued and unnerved, I decided to examine the man, my medical curiosity overriding my unease. As I approached the bed, the old man's eyes fluttered open, revealing startlingly clear blue eyes. He reached out a trembling hand, his voice a dry rasp.
"Don't be afraid, Doctor. I've been expecting you."
Despite my rational mind, I felt a chill crawl up my spine. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice betraying a hint of nervousness.
"I am but a messenger, a harbinger of things to come."
Before Dr. Miller could press him further, the old man's eyes fluttered closed, his breathing becoming shallow and erratic. Alarmed, Dr. Miller rushed out of the room, desperate to find help. But when he returned with a team of nurses and a crash cart in tow, room 107 was empty. The bed was neatly made, the air devoid of the old man's presence. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. Dr. Miller was baffled. He scoured the hospital, interrogated the staff, but no one could offer an explanation for the mysterious patient or his sudden disappearance. The incident left him deeply troubled, his rational mind struggling to reconcile what he had seen with his understanding of reality.
Days turned into weeks, and the memory of the phantom patient faded into the background of my busy life. But one stormy night, as I made my rounds, a sense of foreboding washed over me as I approached the old wing. I paused outside room 107, the door sealed shut, a silent reminder of the inexplicable events that had transpired within its walls. As I stood there, I could have sworn I heard a faint whisper, a voice carried on the wind, whispering my name.
Shaking off the eerie feeling, Dr. Miller continued on his rounds. But the incident left an indelible mark on his psyche. He couldn't shake the feeling that the phantom patient was more than just a figment of his imagination. He began to research the history of the hospital, delving into its archives, searching for any mention of unusual occurrences or unexplained phenomena. His search led him to a dusty old journal hidden away in the back corner of the hospital library. The journal, penned by a former hospital administrator from the early 1900s, chronicled a series of strange and unsettling events that had plagued the hospital during its early years. Among the tales of unexplained illnesses and ghostly apparitions, Dr. Miller found a chilling entry that sent a shiver down his spine. The entry described a mysterious patient, an elderly man with piercing blue eyes who would appear seemingly out of nowhere, always during the most severe storms. The man, according to the journal, claimed to be a harbinger of death, his presence a sure sign that tragedy was about to strike.
I closed the journal, my heart pounding in my chest. Could this be the same phantom patient I had encountered all those years ago? And what did his cryptic warning, a harbinger of things to come, truly mean?
The sterile halls of hospitals, often seen as places of healing, can sometimes become breeding grounds for the unexplainable. As we've explored tonight, these stories, whispered from the depths of medical professionals' experiences, serve as chilling reminders that some things cannot be explained by science or logic. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the darkest corners of our fears. If you enjoyed these tales and dare to delve further into the abyss, be sure to like this video, share it with your fellow horror enthusiasts, and subscribe to the channel for more unsettling encounters. The night is young, and there are countless more stories waiting to be told. Sleep well if you can.